Hobbii. I made my very first order from Hobbii. Normally, I probably would not have done this, not at least at this time. They weren't really high on my list. Not that they don't have beautiful yarn. It's just the shipping is so expensive. And so I decided, well, if I order from Hobbii, I'm going to do it when I have a large order to do. And then I got a heads up on a colorway that I really wanted more of, but didn't know where to get it from, didn't even know what it was called. So there's a specific individual I will blame and thank all at once. Hello, my name is Sig. This is Essential Crochet, and you are always welcomed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Now let's get started. So as I mentioned before, I wasn't really that in a hurry to order anything from Hobbii just yet. However, I had this beautiful cake that I purchased in the mystery mill ends when they were available through Hirschner's the last time I ordered mill ends through them. Well, it was the time before it last, because the first time I ordered the mill ends, this was one of the cakes I received and I just fell in love with it. So I ordered mill ends again with another order, and while I got beautiful yarns, I did not get a replacement or a match to this particular cake. Now, shout out to Kimberly Austin, who gave me the name of this colorway because she happened to work with it a couple of years back. And so after I put it in to see where, the name of it, to see where I could find it, it turned out that it came from Hobbii. And the name of this is the Sultan Deluxe Shine. It's 100% cotton. Well, not quite 100% cotton, because you have this little red filament that runs through the yarn, but otherwise it's mostly a cotton. And it turned out that Hobbii still had these available, and so at this time they go for, I want to say $36 or $38. Sorry, $38 a cake, but they happen to be on sale for $23 a cake, so I bought two. So I bought two because I wasn't sure how big they were going to be, and I wanted to make sure that if I'm purchasing this yarn, particularly for the price, I'm going to have enough for the project I'm thinking of. So mill ends, when you purchase them, they're mill ends because they're found at the end of the run, and typically they are less. So there's less grams at the end of the run, the last bit of yarn left. So I wasn't really sure what I was working with in terms of how big the other cakes were going to be. It turned out that I guess I even got particularly fortunate, because this mill end was only about 5 grams off of what a normal cake of this yarn would have been. Now, the only difference that I see in these cakes, because it's all really a very close match, is the two cakes that I received from Hobbii. They are same color lot. They are identical. Now, I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but the mill-in cake that I received, this middle portion right here, where you see kind of the beigey color between the oranges, well, that beigey has almost a peach tint to it in this colorway. And that peach tint is a little brighter than the tint on the beige in the two cakes that I just received from Hobbii. But that's okay. I'm probably just being particularly sensitive to the difference in the color, but no one's ever going to know the difference, and they're going to be split up, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Now, this particular yarn is called Cotton Kings, the Sultan Deluxe Shine. It's approximately a 250 gram cake, and for that you're going to receive 1,000 meters. So that's nice. It is 96% cotton and 4% polyester. So that's a really nice blend. This cotton really is very soft. If you watched my review video on the Lottie and Albert subscription box, you've heard me go on a little bit of a rant about how I really want to like cotton yarn, and most cotton yarn I work with, I'm not impressed with at all. And I go a little bit into what I liked and what I didn't like about the yarn on that particular project. But now this cotton yarn for this particular cake, this is so really very soft. So I'm excited to see how it works up. I'm excited to work with it. Again, thank you, Miss Kimberly Austin. You were definitely a lifesaver with the name of this yarn for me. So now, because I couldn't just purchase the yarn that I needed because shipping is so expensive from Denmark, that I had to purchase more yarn, of course, right? I know, such a tragedy. So what I did was I purchased these 2 Halloween sock wool yarns. They weren't really what I wanted, but you know, I've been late to every Halloween party this year, so you know, the yarn companies are no different. So I'm not really finding the Halloween yarn that I'd like to have, but I figured this would work out because I'm thinking about making some Halloween socks, doing up a tutorial, and these were on sale, and I think they're going to fit the bill just nicely. So this colorway, let's see, the colorway is 04. I'm not seeing any real name. It's just Halloween glitter sock wool. It's 73% wool, 25% polyamide, 2% polyester. It's a super fine, so it's a weight 1. You wash it on cold, lay flat to dry is my best guess. I don't indicate that, but if you can't dry it in a dryer, that's what you're going to do. You can also dry clean these. So I'm interested to see how these work up. I've never tried this before. Oh, and it's a super wash wool. So I'm guessing that the reason why you can't dry it isn't because of the wool. It's because of this glittery filament that is in the yarn. I'm thinking that's why you can't actually dry these in a dryer, even on low. They're made in Turkey, and they're produced for Hobbii. So yeah, it's super soft. I can't complain about the softness of this yarn at all, even with the filament. So I was worried about that a little bit. I was worried that the filament inside this might make it a little rougher than necessary, but no, it's super soft. So I'm really pleased with this purchase. Now, these socks normally go for $14 per, I think these are 100-gram skeins. Yep, 100-gram skein, you're going to get 420 meters or 459 yards for your 100 grams. So yes, they're each 100 grams, and normally they're going to cost you $14 per 100 grams. But I got them on sale, of course, a little bit, closer to half. So for the pair, I paid $13.80. So that's not too bad, not for 200 grams of super wash sock yarn, wool sock yarn. Next, just because I thought it was pretty and thought it might make an interesting combination for a cowl, I went ahead and purchased this Black Friday cotton cake because there again, I'm really trying to find some cotton that I like, that I want to work with. Now, this cake is going to be a 2 weight, so it's fine. The cake's going to have 200 grams of yarn. It's 100% cotton, and you get 800 meters or 874 yards in this cake. So that's going to be plenty to make a really nice drapey cowl. It's 4 strands of this cotton yarn that make up the width of this yarn. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this? The colorway is 349 or rather, sorry, that's the lot number. The color is 06. But I'm not seeing any actual name for this, other than it being a Black Friday cotton cake. You know, they had several of them in different colors. This is made in India. And yeah. Oh, okay. So you can wash it on cool. You can take a cool iron to it, like a low heat iron, and you can dry clean them. But you're going to have to lay this flat to dry. So, you know, so this is going to be another one of those kind of higher maintenance clothing pieces. But you know what? My kids are all grown and out of the house. It's just me and my husband. You know, it's not a big deal for me to spend a little more time washing, or, you know, washing my laundry with special washing instructions. That's fine. I really can't wait to see how this one works up. I'm pretty excited to give it a try. So now, you know me, I cannot let a mystery bag go without giving it a try, especially with a new company. And so for Hobbii, they call their mystery bags lucky bags. And I don't know what's in them yet. All I know is that I purchased one wool bag for $31. And so I'm supposed to be able to get 500 grams of wool in that one. And then one lucky bag of sock yarn. And I'm supposed to get 400 grams in that one. And the lucky bag of sock yarn, that one was $25. So, and I'll get into my total cost of all of this at the end of this, but with the exception of a couple of pretty good sales, I really didn't get that great of a deal on this. I really didn't go into this looking for the sales. Well, the big sales were already pretty much past. And really I was just there for that beautiful red and orange cake. But I didn't want to just get that cake and nothing else, so I found the few other things that I liked. And that cake the other cotton cake that I showed you, this one right here, this one, sorry, I didn't tell you, this one retails out at $14.60. I spent $10.90, so not a huge savings, but if I can make a beautiful cowl out of this, you know, $10.90 is still a fantastic bargain for something this unique. So I'm happy to go now with let's it. Go ahead and jump into the bags. And as usual, I hate the crinkly sound of bags, and I know many of you hate the crinkly sound of bags. So while I haven't looked into these bags yet, I am going to look into them and pull the yarn out so that the bag isn't a problem. Okay, so the first bag I opened up was the wool bag, the Lucky Wool bag. And so here what I've received is 100% wool power. Happy Sheep, I guess, is the name of the brand. It's 100% virgin wool. Now, this is soft for wool, but it feels like wool. And I'm okay with that because I don't have a problem with wool like some people do. And if I need to wear it, I can always wear it with, you know, with a light shirt underneath, because here in Alaska, we mostly dress in layers anyway. So that's not a problem for me. So this colorway for this particular wool is at 08. This was made in Turkey. This happens to be a 4-weight. Now, I'm going to pretty much agree with that. This looks like a 4-weight, and it feels like a solid middle of the road 4-weight to me. If you're knitting, they suggest a 5.5 to a 6 millimeter knitting needle. If you're using a hook, they recommend a 6 to 7 millimeter or a US size J through K. Now this is going to be a hand wash. You can iron it with a mild on low heat. You can dry clean, and they suggest you lay flat to dry. So now this is really kind of a nice dusty pink, and I'm going to get 100 grams in each one of these donuts. And for my 100 grams, I'm going to get 160 meters or 174 yards approximately. So that makes sense to me. So there again, that tells me that this really is a good solid 4-weight. So that's cool. That's all right. I'm not unhappy with that at all. So the next yarn I get, it looks like it's the same yarn. Yep. Now they call this a weight 4 too, but this feels actually just slightly thicker than the other one. Huh, interesting. But they're calling it a 4-weight. It's the same yarn, just a different color, this blue color. Again, you know, everything's the same. 100% virgin wool, 100 grams, 160 meters, or 174 yards for your 100 grams. Again, you're going to want to use a 5.5 to 6 millimeter needles or a 6 to a 7 millimeter hook. You're going to want to hand wash. You can use a low heat iron on this. You can lay flat to dry, and or you can also dry clean. So again, I'm not unhappy with this. So that gives me, if I put the two together, you know, they can work together for sure. So that's all right. I can figure out something to do with that. So that's basically 400 grams of the same yarn, just a couple of different colors. And I'm looking at 640 meters of this. So I can do something okay with this. I'm not getting a sweater out of it, but I'm going to be able to do something nice with it. So I can't be unhappy about that. Well, I guess I could do like a child's sweater for sure. All right, so that doesn't upset me at all. That's all right. Now next, we've got the same Happy Sheep, and they call this baby wool. So it's 100% wool. This is actually pretty soft. It's what the kids call squishy, but it's yeah, but it's not like cloud soft, but it is nice and soft. You can see this one doesn't really have a halo, and it really is very much a standard twist going on with this one. Whereas the last one was more like a roving sort of a yarn. So this one's actually made in Italy, and each one of these donuts is 50 grams. And for my 50 grams, I'm going to get 165 meters or 180 yards respectively. Again, hand wash in cool water. Now this one, you really want a light iron on this. You want the heat down very low. And you can also dry clean this. It's a super fine one. If you're going to use needles, 3 millimeter will do it for you. If you're going to use a hook, also a 3 millimeter is good. It's also recommended. So this is a lovely brown. This is a good solid brown. I really like this. Good. I'm not unhappy with that. So basically my wool, I got my 500 grams of wool. So that's all right. So next I'm moving on to the sock yarn, and this is the first one I pulled out of the bag. Now, these really aren't my colors, so I'll probably end up using this for a different project or something that I'll either sell or give it away. And this is, how many grams? This looks like it might be about 200. Where are we at? Oh, it's 150 grams. And for my 150 grams, I'm going to get 375 meters. And then here, oh, there you go. And they give you like 150 grams. So they're telling me that this is enough right here to do a pair of socks, to do some long socks, I'm guessing. So that's okay. And then they're also telling me that if I was going to make a sweater, I would need approximately 650 grams. So that's kind of useful. They're telling me I can wash this in cold and or I can dry clean. Do not iron, do not dry, and do not bleach. This is 75% virgin wool. So that makes sense because this is not the softest sock yarn that I've felt. It's not the, it's not the scratchiest, but it's not the softest. It's kind of somewhere there in the middle. And then of course 25% polyamide. So I'm sure this, the polyamide is why this cannot be dried or ironed. Well, and in this case, I'm sure the virgin wool might have a little something to do with that too. I suspect this might felt up a little bit if given half the chance. But you let me know if what I'm thinking is correct or not in terms of the felting aspect. So yeah, so I got that. I'm not terribly excited about it. Well, I guess I say it's a superwash. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of distracted by the colors, but the yarn is a decent quality. So yeah, I'm happy to have it, of course. Would I have purchased this on my own? Yeah, no, not really. Not unless I was making a project for somebody who specifically requested these colorway. This is the next sock yarn. Hot Socks, Lonato, made in Italy also. It's also a superwash. They say it's a 6-ply. Again, I can get a pair of socks for my 150 grams. And for my 150 grams, I'm going to get 375 meters. So the specs are pretty much the same. You got 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. Let's see, and what do we got for colorway? And the colorway that they're telling us is 7. So again, this is not a sock, or sorry, this is not a colorway I would have chosen for myself. It's meh. Again, the yarn's decent. I don't have a problem with the yarn because I don't have a problem with things being a little scratchy or maybe not, super soft. This is somewhere in the middle. Again, it's about the same softness as the last skein of sock yarn I just pulled through. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can see what it's supposed to look like. I feel like I want to ask the 80s if they'd like to have their socks back. But, hey, I love socks. But we'll see. I can certainly do something with this. I just don't know what it is I'm going to do. And this really is not the colorway I would have purchased for myself. So now we have one more skein of the sock yarn. Now, this is probably my favorite of the colorways out of the sock yarns that I got today. And it's not great, but I do find it a lot more interesting. So I think this might work up to something really sweet, like in terms of a baby top or sweater or something small and simple. Maybe not necessarily socks. So I'm going to guess this is 100 grams, and it is 100 grams. And for my 100 grams, I'm going to get 400 meters. So with the first 2 skeins of the sock yarn, that gave me 300 grams, plus this one that gives me 400 grams. So I've gotten the appropriate amount of grams in this lucky bag. And again, we're looking at 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. And this one actually feels a little softer than the other 2. Now, I don't know if it's because this sock yarn is finer, because I think this is a finer weight. Now, I'm looking to see if there's any indicator as to what that weight is. Yeah, no. So here, so you can see next to each other. So this one's like a DK, right? The blue color is like a DK. And the green is going to be, a light 2 or possibly a 1. So yeah, I certainly like this one better. Directions are still the same. Wash and cool or dry clean. Now this one's telling me that with this, well, probably because it's a lighter weight, I can get a pair of socks out of this 100 grams. And that's something that I would expect for this weight. And they're saying that if I make a shirt or a sweater with this yarn, I will need approximately 500 grams to make that with. So, all right. Okay, so I mean, I'm pretty happy with the wool. I can definitely do something with sock yarn. I love sock yarn. But will I do a lucky bag for sock yarn again? Probably not. I'll probably just purchase the sock yarn I like. So, let's get down to what everybody wants to know. So, the savings on this was not very great. If I had purchased this yarn retail, I would have paid $174.60. Now I'm looking at my invoice, and so I completely forgot. And this is probably one of the reasons why I actually went ahead and purchased from them, even though the sales weren't so good. They gave me free shipping. So that's probably how I justified that, because I've been so busy, I don't remember everything all the time. So I ended up paying for this haul, I ended up paying $126.70, and I got free shipping. If I had paid in retail, I would have paid $174.60. So that gave me a savings of $47.90. Was it great? No, it gave me about a 27% savings. That's all right. It was worth it for me to be able to find that cotton yarn that I so fell in love with, so that I could have enough yarn to actually make something with. I'm not really sure what that something is yet, but I have enough yarn to do it with, and so that's what makes me happy. So with that said, check out my other playlist for more great content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye now. Have a great weekend.